Welcome to the Menopause Unplugged Podcast with me, your host, Nikki Oliveira. On this podcast, we will hear from women who are navigating the challenging and transformative journey of perimenopause and menopause. These women have graciously agreed to share their stories and insights, offering a raw and honest glimpse into what it's like to go through this major life transition. From hot flushes to rediscovering themselves, our guests will provide a wealth of knowledge and inspiration for anyone who's going through or will go through menopause. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and join us for a fascinating and enlightening discussion. Hello and welcome to the Menopause Unplugged podcast with me, your host, Nikki Oliveira. Today in the studio we have the lovely Kate. How are you, Kate? Okay?
I'm good, thank you, Nikki. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for joining. So, Kate, tell us a little bit about your menopause experience. How did you first notice it?
I first noticed it. It probably took me a while to realize what it was, but it was initially my periods. So I still have monthly periods, but they became the timing between them became shorter. So from like 30, 32 days, it was suddenly coming to 26, 28. So I was having surprise periods, but they got they got a lot more intense emotionally and physically. So in the olden days, I maybe got a little bit emotional for like a day or two, and even then, it was like I might cry at an RSPCA advert with a kitten on it, but it wouldn't be like severe. So I've been really, really lucky with my menstrual cycle throughout my life, but I just noticed that they got incredibly heavy, but a lot shorter. So rather than a few days of light, it was 2 days of so heavy it was ridiculous. I even bought those is it called Mookie, those knickers that you have, which are actually
Yeah.
they double up as really good cycling padded shorts, I've noticed. So I'm actually wearing them even when I don't have my period. But I would had to get those. And emotionally really quite intense for a good week before. So that was the first thing. They for all my life having quite relatively, predictable, easy periods, just that was the first thing. And that kind of went on for like 6 months or a year. And then I noticed the brain fog, not feeling like I had as much energy, aches and pains. I mean, I'm a mountain biker and was a trail runner, so I kind of always had various injuries and recovering from, but I just noticed that things would niggle a lot more. So yeah, symptoms like that really. But it all started to happen when I already ran the Tonic, the CBD company, which has been going over 5 years. So I
Yeah.
was already on CBD for pain initially, and obviously helps with sleep and anxiety. So I think that I have managed to get away with quite a lot of the symptoms that some people really do suffer with, with like restless leg and crazy temperature changes.
Right.
Because I think, but I'll go into that more later. But I think I kind of got off lightly there because I was already taking CBD regularly for other things, and I think that may have gone. But yeah, those were the symptoms really where I realised that, hooray, we're perimenopausal.
Yeah. So would you say there were more physical symptoms then rather than psychological symptoms?
Um, yes, yeah, for sure, for sure. I think since then there have been various things going on psychologically, but again, it kind of there's a question coming up which I'll answer in more depth, but I think there's other things going on that could be hormone related or could be related to other things, but certainly related to the age that I'm at. For example, iron absorption. If you're
Right.
active, if you're in your 40s, your iron absorption is a lot more difficult, and therefore your iron levels will naturally be a lot lower. So there were things like
Right.
that were also happening at the same time, but they're kind of related. It's all part of, the exploration of health of women at our kind of age where hormones are changing,
Yes.
and the knock-on effects these have. So there's probably lots of things that are happening that haven't even attributed to hormone imbalances that probably are, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there must have been quite a few different challenges then that you faced um, throughout, your sort of perimenopausal journey. So what challenges did you face and how did you overcome them?
Um, I think the main one I think was physical. If I can't get out and do my daily exercise, whether it's walking the dog, running, mountain biking, that really affects everything else in my life. I need to have my physical output. Um, so uh being aware of that, being aware of needing to that rest and sleep was a lot more important now than it ever was.
Mm,
Taking my CBD regularly, not forgetting to take it, which again allows for me to feel more energetic and obviously less pain that's going on.
sure.
The more likely you are to be active. So those were those changes. With regards to the brain fog, it is something that I'm still tackling, but I have done a lot to research. It was actually one of the biker friends of mine. She's a scientist and is amazing at research. So she's kind of our go-to for, what do
Ama-
you think about this? This is happening. What do you think? She's the one that told me about iron. And I had
Mm,
no idea. I went and got a blood test. And they come back and they say, yes, everything's normal. But what is normal with regards to what, the NIC standards are? So, for example, iron, mine
mm,
was 11. 10
yeah.
is when it gets flagged.
Mm,
Now, if you're menstruating regularly, you're a woman of our age and you're fit and you're healthy, you're very active. 11 isn't good, but it didn't get flagged because it wasn't 10 and I should
yes.
be at 45, 50. So if she hadn't have said to me, make sure you actually get your results and have a look at them yourself, and then get a doctor to look at them, you won't really know. So that's one bit of advice actually for any of your followers is don't always just accept those results as okay. Have a look at them, educate yourself. Okay, what's a normal level? Thyroid, that's another thing that changes. Again, it's hormone related. It's another thing
Mm,
that can be affected around our age. So actually get your results, have a look at them, ask for a second opinion because
yeah.
things might be lower than they should be, but not necessarily flagging. So I did go on about 600 milligrams of iron a day for 3 months, which is crazy, but that's what it took to get me up to a better level. So that definitely helped with
Yeah.
energy levels, with the brain fog. But the brain fog I still wasn't happy with. It was affecting work as well as my biking. And I went and got a hormone test. So I've had two now,
Right.
and my testosterone levels were low.
Mm,
So we're very lucky here in Hebden Bridge that we've got a massive, I mean, it's a massive, very close community of women who are just having this conversation about menopause. It's amazing. And so we've been
mm,
pushing and pushing our GPs. And we have one in particular, Dr. Teo, who is brilliant. She's also perimenopausal. She's invested her own time and money to educate herself about the menopause. So
amazing.
she's been absolutely brilliant. And she's the one that said, if you want to be heard with regards to testosterone, if your levels are low, which they
Mm,
the time were, the only thing really that they hear that will be acknowledged by the NHS is if it's affecting your libido.
yeah.
So they have proved that testosterone affects more than that, obviously, like brain
Yeah.
fog, energy levels, but no, that doesn't matter. If you can't really function at work because you've got brain fog, that doesn't matter. But if you can't please your partner or yourself sexually, then that obviously is a greater criteria. Um,
Yeah.
so that was a bit frustrating. So, but anyway, she said, that's the key word. You need to come in and you need to say it's affecting your libido massively and affecting your relationship. Which isn't a lie. It definitely
No.
does.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't my priority. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I've managed to get testosterone. I've been on it for about 3 or 4 months, in gel form. It's testosterone for men.
Hmm.
So the instructions do tell me that I will frequently get erections and have possible hair loss.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for those to happen. But it certainly helps. I definitely feel like I've got more power again and
Good.
more energy. Um, but yeah, the one thing that nothing is quite getting is the it's helping with the brain fog without a doubt, but it's still there. But we think I did more blood tests yesterday because we think it might even be COVID related. So
Ooh, okay.
one of those things. But yes, it's very commonly menopause related, I know. So we shall
Yeah,
see.
absolutely. So are your iron levels now up to optimal level? Is that all stabilized in?
They were a couple of months ago, but I did more blood tests yesterday, which I'm waiting for the results. So we shall see. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was a bit of an eye opener that for me. I didn't know that that was kind of another possible symptom of menopause, but definitely something
yeah,
people that, women our age kind of need to keep an eye on. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So obviously you've been seeing a doctor in regards to your menopause. So you're on, obviously, is it Tesogel that you're on
I
for
think
your
that's what
testo?
it's called.
Yeah.
It used to come in a pump and then they ran out because again, we've obviously had shortages of various HRT
Yeah.
um, products across the country. And at the moment, it's not in a pump. It comes in this little annoying little tear off things that are about
Oh,
eight. So you're not even quite sure how much you're putting out. But so it's a bit annoying, but they didn't want me to stop. So it's like, look, you just have to have these until we can get some more in. So I'm on that.
okay.
I should have brought it, shouldn't I? I'm on estrogen and it's the alcohol spray. It's like a round spray pump you spray on your arm.
Right.
I think it's like 1.4 milligrams, I think, per spray.
Mm,
I'm playing around with it. I was initially told one spray a day and then just up it if you feel like you need to. So at the minute I'm
okay.
doing 3 pumps. But one thing I have done is I like things to be visual, and I've downloaded a chart of what our estrogen and progesterone levels are doing throughout our monthly cycle.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
I look at that and then I know where I've got the dips. When in
Mm,
my cycle, because there's 2 points where your estrogen levels and progesterone really drops. So
yeah.
the nice thing is with the pumps rather than the patches, you can more easily adjust your levels. So if I don't, if
Mm,
my estrogen levels are high, have one pump, and if they're low, have two or three. So I can kind of go with my natural, you know, rhythm production of hormones.
yes.
So that's one bonus of having a pump over the patches. I've not tried the patches yet, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
So you've got your estrogen for your hormone replacement therapy, and then obviously you've got your testosterone. Are you using a preparation for your progesterone?
yes, it's like gel tablets. So I
All
have
right.
those, and those you have to remember because you don't take them
Mm,
all the time. You take them like day 15 for 2 weeks, and then
like a cycle. Yeah.
yes. So I have to kind of try and remember that one.
Yeah. It is a lot to remember, isn't it? When you're thinking
Mm.
that's three different preparations that makes up your hormone replacement therapy, and then they're all, like you said, your estrogen, you adjust as per your menstrual cycle, obviously,
Mm.
however many days your cycle now is. And then you've got your cycle days for your progesterone. So yeah, it's a lot. So do you do
Juggling.
anything in particular to help with that? Like, do you use things like reminders or any apps or anything to help you with that, or do you just write it down like old school?
Yeah, I do a reminder in my normal calendar with regards to my cycle, and then so I can then remember, track the days. I
Yeah.
use the Balance app, which I think
Mm.
Dr. Newsom started a
Yes.
long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't delve into it too much anymore. It was quite useful to begin with um, for information, but
Mm.
yeah, it's just useful because you can track in it, it encourages you to also track how you're feeling and things as well. So it's not just my menstrual cycle, it's like what's going
Yeah,
on, emotionally, where my head's at, where my brain fog's at. So it's quite interesting to track that. So that's why I started to, fluctuate my HRT, because, it just gets you more aware as to what's going on, so you can kind of level things out a little bit better. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think that would be really helpful for listeners as well who are obviously doing something, going through a similar
Mm.
situation with their HRT. So always handy to get some tips and advice on how to manage it. So, so you've obviously been menopausal, Kate, for a while now. How did that affect your personal relationships?
Well, I think definitely my partner, Paul, I've had to really educate him as much as myself, um, to explain what's going on. So the more intense periods with that more emotional intensity that I'd never really had before, where you're
Yeah,
just like, everything is really annoying me. It would be the
yeah,
smallest things that normally you would just let pass. We're just like, so really, it's been so important to communicate what is going on, what is happening, because you know, I was never told by my mother, that generation, they just kind of had to deal with it and suck it
sure.
up.
Yeah,
Whereas amazing, the last couple of years, our conversation around it has just grown and grown. So awareness has grown, and there's so much more help now, especially online, and Instagram has been an amazing source of information. And
sure.
yeah, so I think it definitely affected the relationship, not just understanding what's going on and communicating it to make dealing with it better, but obviously libido, it just disappears. It's bizarre. It's
Yeah.
just suddenly not there. Can't be asked at all. Not even with yourself. It's just like,
Hmm.
it's like someone has switched a switch off.
Yeah,
It gone. Um, And again, I think that's something that's so important to address. So I know I was joking earlier about it not being my priority when it came to the testosterone. I wanted to get my energy levels back up and get rid of some of this brain fog. Of course, it's important, because if it is affecting your relationship, it affects everything, and especially if you
of
have
course.
children, family. Um, it's a massive deal. So it is important, and I think keeping the conversation alive around it and educating yourself and doing as much reading as possible and sharing that, our partners are just as responsible for this, as we are for their emotions that they go through and such. So yeah, it's I don't think it affects. I was going to ask Nina who works. Nina, does my menopause affect our relationship? Don't think so. There's no sexual demands from Nina, so we're okay. But yeah, just gonna have a little look at my notes. But I think that, yeah, that was all it is really. It was just, yeah, communicating, understanding yourself, what's going on, and then being able to communicate that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
So, what kind of lifestyle changes did you make then, alongside obviously starting to take your HRT? What else changed really with regards to your diet, your
Mm.
exercise, and general lifestyle?
Yeah, good question. Diet, you're definitely not burning the calories. I don't know what
Yeah.
happens. Again, it's like a switch has gone. It's like started to get a belly, started, wait, what's happening here? And I am really active. So
Mm,
I just really, really watched things. I mean, I've never been great with carbs, pasta and breads and things, but I've really, really cut those out now, because it does just woof, makes me swell immediately. So again, there must be something going on there, in our guts, that we just can't process things. We're just less robust. So I'm just a lot
mhm.
more gentle with what I put in my body, a bit more kind of conscious. I do eat an awful lot of vegetables and fish anyway, and that's kind of my main diet really, and make sure I'm getting the oils from the fish. Energy levels, I will. I don't know whether I'm I had to stop running because my meniscus decided to start popping out of my knee, which is quite painful, but I still
Oh
mountain
wow.
bike and it is pretty challenging physically up and down. And I will never stop doing that. But I think it's more mental than physical, you know, being more determined to get out.
Yeah.
Again, I think a lot with menopause, I think the energy levels, I think a lot of it's up here. I think our
Mm,
bodies are amazing. They can endure so much more than we believe. Um,
100%.
yeah, so just keep making myself get out there. I'm very, very aware that I'm probably not doing enough weight bearing things because that is really important, isn't it, for
Yes.
osteoarthritis and joint and bone health generally. Um, and I think, oh yeah, and cold water swimming.
Yeah.
See,
That's
my
taken a big
partner's, oh yeah, my
popularity.
partner's always done it, breaks the ice, doesn't care, he's in, he's in. There's loads of women around here that have these kind of Facebook communities now who are all menopausal and they find it
Oh
really helps
wow.
with their temperature fluctuations. Um, and it's really lovely hearing their conversations. Liz, who works for me, she's not in today, but she's one of them actually. She started one of the groups for that reason.
Right.
Her temperatures and they find it really helpful. But I have definitely found that it eases any kind of aches and pains. And it's just great for your head. Honestly, you can wake up
Mm,
foggy headed, get in that cold water, and it's just amazing. We're lucky enough to live 5 minute walk from a reservoir, so
amazing.
and it's very exposed. So no matter the other day, we were in on Monday morning, and it's like sideways rain and wind, but you don't care. You're gonna get wet anyway, and you're gonna get cold anyway.
That's true.
And all the neighbors are walking their dogs across the moors, just laughing at us. Oh, you're crazy. But yeah, so I'm determined now to try and see how far into winter I can go. So I'm still going in at the minute, just in swimming cozy,
Yeah.
gloves and socks only. It tricks your body into thinking the water's a bit warmer than it is. But yeah, I highly recommend that actually for head, body, aches, pains. Um, so yeah, what else have I changed? Obviously HRT,
Mm,
rest. I think I mentioned that before. Rest and sleep, so much more important. I
yes.
really need more hours. I mean, I'm getting in bed last night. It was like 9:30. I'm
Mm,
an early riser anyway, but I really need my sleep.
yeah.
I even sleep in a separate room a few nights of the week because I just can't share a bed. I just need like 8 hours, no interruption, no
Yeah.
man-ease in the night waking me up. It's just like no. Um, yeah, so and I'm not afraid to again communicate that to my partner who's incredibly understanding. He doesn't, just it is.
Mm,
I just find that rest and sleep is so much more important than ever before. And CBD, I used to just take a little bit every day just to help with aches and pains, but again now it kind of fluctuates with my cycle. So
yeah.
um when I know that week before my period, I definitely up it just to again assist my little hormones because CBD
Yeah.
does it. You've got receptors throughout your whole hormone system, your endocrine system, and also in the receptors in your brain, CB1 receptors they're called, that are in your hypothalamus. So that's the area that will regulate things like sleep and mood. So yeah, your whole hormone system is regulated by it. So it has proved, crucial. This is why I think I don't get, the temperature changes and things.
Yeah.
I think that that's what's helping with that massively.
Fabulous. Okay. So, what advice would you give to other women who are perhaps not gone through menopause yet or are currently
Mm.
going through it?
I First thing I would do is keep educating yourself, and your body better than anybody. So if you do think that you're going through or starting perimenopause and your doctor says don't be ridiculous, you're too young,
Mm,
um ignore that. If you know your body, you know when things start changing, and there isn't an age to go through the menopause. I've had a customer today on the phone. She again is somebody that had early menopause. She was 30s. So there isn't an age. So I think really listen to your body, definitely track what's going on with your cycle, with your emotions. Um, and then you can kind of better understand what's happening, so you can again better communicate around you, because it can massively affect, not just relationships at home, but at work. I had a
Yeah.
friend who suffered terrible depression going through the menopause, and she had no idea she was perimenopausal, and it affected work. She felt useless. She was quite high up in what she
Mm.
was doing. She'd done it for a long time, and it was horrendous, and work just didn't understand. But now the company that she works for, it's now menopause. They sent the HR team off for training, and it's now part of the kind of the care of staff within the HR
Amazing.
department. It's seen as in, if somebody is off sick with, I don't know, whatever illness they have, and now obviously mental health is now
Mm.
more, you know, better understood in business. Same with menopause, so that's now on their
Yeah.
list. So yeah, the more understanding you have of yourself, I think the more confident you are to communicate that to other people, and to stand your ground when it comes to your health. You are in charge of it, whether you want to go HRT or you want to go totally natural, or you want to combine the two, which I do.
Mm. Yeah.
I think do it, but yeah, do your homework, get on with information, and your body. Blood tests, I mentioned this earlier. There's a couple of things to note on that. One is, yeah, don't take, well, yes, everything's fine for an answer. Get
Yeah.
them. You can get them uploaded to your app, NHS app, or you can get them printed out and actually have a look. And if you're not sure, just have an appointment with the doctor and actually look at your levels. They may not be getting flagged up, but they may be too low for what you need them to be. So it could be iron, it could be hormones, could be thyroid. Definitely do that. And the other thing with getting blood tests for hormones, again, it depends where in your cycle you are. So there's no point just getting
Yeah.
one test for hormones. You need a few
Multiple.
through a month. If you
Mm.
could do that, brilliant. Um, yeah, look at natural options as well as pharmaceutical. I know not everyone's comfortable or can't, biologically, physiologically have HRT, so there's lots of natural alternatives, obviously CBD, but
Yeah.
I think there's a few good mushroom alternatives out there which are really good. I know a woman who doesn't have HRT at all. She's coming out the end she's coming towards menopause rather than perimenopause. She's never
Hmm.
taken HRT in her life, and she's managed it really well with mushrooms and CBD. But
Mm.
yeah, sleep, exercise, alcohol, that's another thing. I cannot drink
Yes.
anymore. I can't do it. I
Mm.
cannot handle how I feel the next day. Even if I've just had 2 glasses of wine, it affects that brain fog, it affects your sleep, it affects your energy levels, it affects everything.
Yeah.
So I think it is a time where you just have to be so gentle with yourself, with what you're
Mm.
consuming, with what you're doing to your body, so diet, just get rid of that alcohol, have some of our CBD tea, you know, um, just rest when you feel you need it, and just be, yeah, really gentle with yourself. I think that's the bits of advice I would give.
Absolutely. That's great advice, Kate. So, in regards to the CBD then, so how does that specifically help with menopause? I know you've touched on it a few
Mm.
times throughout this interview, but if you want to just give the listeners a kind of rundown of how it can really benefit them.
Yeah, so CBD has this is why it's so popular, and one it can be quite a confusing area, but it's working on so many different levels. So you have every mammal has an endocannabinoid system. It was only discovered in the early 90s, which is why it's
Mhm.
still a relatively new thing. Um, and that's not just humans. Any mammal has an endocannabinoid system, and what it is, it does two things, two functions. One is it's a set of receptors throughout your whole body, so it runs through your immune system, your endocrine system, which is your hormone
Mhm.
system.
Yeah.
It's in the cells in your muscles, it's in your internal organs, in your brain, and you've got two different types of receptors, CB1, CB2. They do slightly different things. They can inhibit things, and they can encourage um, you know, the production of protons and things. So proteins. So this, when you take phytocannabinoids from the cannabis plant, it's actually, we call it cannabis. It's hemp. It's industrial hemp. in this country, you can only make CBD from hemp, which is what's grown for making fabrics and papers and hemp plastics and hemp concrete and all sorts, insulation and things. So
Okay.
naturally, it's incredibly high in cannabinoids, lots of different cannabinoids, and low in THC. So you could smoke an entire field full. You will not get stoned. You won't have those psychoactive effects. So
Right.
CBD in this country is made from hemp, and it's got lots of cannabinoids in it, which have slightly different properties. So this is why we always promote full spectrum, which means it's made from the whole plant and it's not been mucked about with, it's not been filtered with, it's very dark and oily. And it just works on many different levels. So when you take phytocannabinoids in the form of CBD, your endocannabinoid system will accept those compounds and it will attach to certain receptors where it's needed. If it's not needed, it will pass on and pass on to the next and the next and the next until it is needed. And if it's not needed, you obviously just process it like you would with anything else that you ingest. And what it does when it does bind is to a receptor is it creates it's kind of like a little, like they are like mini control centers, but it triggers a response which can create a state of equilibrium, homeostasis as it's called. So if there's inflammation, it will reduce that. If a hormone's producing too much of a particular hormone, it'll control that. So it's this is kind of very layman's terms, but it's creating balance, it's regulating your system. So yeah, if anything's, high anxiety, for example, it reduces that. So it's working on many different levels. It's also natural anti-inflammatory. It's also naturally bacterial. You can put it on topically to help with things. So it's working on that level, but also humans have the capacity to make their own cannabinoids called endocannabinoids, which are part of the endocannabinoid system. So endocannabinoids are present in breast milk. If you're breastfeeding, you will be giving your baby endocannabinoids. It's that natural and it's that good for your system. So they are essential to us. You kind of have to see that we're kind of deficient in it. And that's why we take it from the plant to get our bodies functioning at that kind of optimum level. So yeah, completely safe, completely natural. And it's working with a system that already exists within us. So you won't build up a resistance like you do with medication, and there's certainly aren't side effects,
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Thank you, Kate, because I myself have heard of it, but didn't really understand how it works and how it works within our bodies. So no, that's really interesting. And Kate, for all our listeners, Kate has kindly decided that she will gift us a discount code. So I will be popping the website link and the discount code in the show notes. So please do check that out.
Yeah, we'll do a 20% discount code for all your listeners so they can try it for themselves. And I'll send you some too.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Well, I think that wraps up our conversation today, Kate. So thank you again for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for
It's been
having
lovely
me.
having you.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll speak again soon.
Great.
Bye for now.
Oh, lots of love, Nikki. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Menopause Unplugged. I hope you found the conversation to be informative, enlightening, and empowering. Remember, menopause is a natural part of a woman's life journey, but it doesn't have to be a lonely one. Whether you're experiencing perimenopause or menopause, my menopause coaching program can provide reassurance and guidance. Please do reach out to me through my contact details on the show description. And until next time, take care.